Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Karim Saleh. I come from Egypt originally. I was born there, 91. I play the violin. I teach in Berlin and I worked here in Berlin and studied since 10 years or 11 years now. I am a graduate from Hans Eisler Hochschule for Musik. I finished bachelor and masters here in Berlin with Professor Kolja Blacha. And then I worked in the Berliner Philharmoniker as part as being academist there for 2 years. And then I worked with a couple other orchestras as first violin player in Concerthaus Berlin and Berliner Philharmoniker also, of course, with some other orchestras where I played as substitute, like in Deutsche Symphony Orchestra and many others in Germany. So today I'm very excited and really happy to be part of this competition or event. I thank very much Svetlana Remnyakova for inviting me and letting me know about this project, which is, I think it's very important and makes the musicians keep their inner will to be part of something and to compete, even if there is like problematics now, where the times where we live now, we still can do stuff online and share knowledge. And by that I really like the idea, and I decided to share with you some of the basic stuff, since the competition is covered with a lot of ages. So let's just chat together about some stuff that I think are essential to remind ourselves about. Why our violin or playing an instrument, especially violin, is important for us. I see it mainly for creative purposes. This is the most important reason and the most important beneficial thing that we get from playing an instrument, especially a lyrical instrument like the violin, where you can present your ideas and expressions easily if you learn the basics of presenting the sound and you have good foundations. So creativity is essential part of this job, what we do. And we always need to remind ourselves, once we start practicing or playing any piece for any purpose, like competition or concert, or when you even practice for yourself, to keep your work creative, like in different stuff, in different aspects, in phrasing, in dynamics. Another thing that is really important for us as musicians to learn is the coordination between the mind and the muscle movement, which I will cover later, why this is essential key in violin practicing, in everything, in every single basics stuff that we have in the violin, or advanced level stuff even. The coordination between the mind and the muscle movement, and also the ear, which I always feel like it's connected directly to the mind, of course, is really important. And I always say it's the golden key to solve every single problem, not only in instruments but in any aspect in life, like to think first what the mind wants and what the music in your mind, how you want to make it sound, how you want to present it. And then once you train your hands and you train your muscle memory movement, where's the sounding point, how to do the vibrato, maybe let's practice a slow vibrato, maybe once you practice fast vibrato with narrow movement, with big movement. Once you practice all these stuff in the scales, and then you go back to music, how I think it is most beneficial is to hear the music in the mind, the intonation or the tone or the sound, what you really want to hear first, and then let your muscles and body react to the right movement to do it. it's it is very important, but still you need to train your body still and your muscles to be flexible and to react of what your mind wanna hear or your ears wanna hear or produce, to directly react to this. Like I said, sounding points training. Like you could practice some scales, like in this way. I can show it to you. One of the skills that I always think it's important, like to practice like scales in this way always. For example, this way of studying the sounding, you look for the best sounds available to the violin and you train how to perform them in the most simplest way, which is the scales. And this is only one example. There's a lot of examples you can do to sharpen your abilities into the right arm. For example, speed. Or pressure. And by that, when you train your abilities, when you sharpen your right arm abilities, I think it's most important that you train this with concentration slowly first, and then at the end, once you perform or once you want to be creative and play something, you never think of, now I need to play in the last centimeters of the bow and here I need to do this and this. This is, yes, still important during practice, but during performance, once like I want to hear the full sound, like example, like maybe a third movement of Tchaikovsky, I want full sound, full of energy and full of sound, and by that I know I need all the hairs and I need the contact to be near the bridge, not here, and I need to do my pressure in the right balance to produce. For example, this is the sound. I hear it before I play it. Like I hear it clearly in my mind before I start to play. I don't think much what to do, because I think once I start to play, I need to know how my body will react. And I need to train my body how to react fastly by practicing slowly. Or for example, or you want to change now the tone and you want to make some music with magical sound, with less pressure, and you let your body react after you hear what you want in mind. I remind you again, you don't do this just by mind and then everything happens by magic. No, you need to practice these stuff, the basic stuff, the basics abilities, to let your muscles be flexible, to know where to go. Just your mind tells them, hey, give me this sound, give me the airy sound. And I know to do like, and for example, if I wanna, If I want a crescendo, I know that I need to go there and to present more pressure a bit into the acceptable balance and more hairs. And all of these things, I think it's really important to present what you want to do, not only by hearing it here in your mind, but to present it to the public by having the abilities, the full abilities here available to you. And these abilities will not be unlocked unless you practice slowly with concentration, by knowing why I'm doing this, why I'm practicing that, why I'm looking for the pressure threshold, where's the least pressure I could present to the violin or to the strings until I have acceptable piano sounds. Like, I can't play like this, of course. This is not acceptable, of course, if you're gonna present it. And this is also differs from which hole to other. But that's why I practice daily. I see where are the limits, the acceptable limits of the pressure. And not only pressure, of course, is important at this point, as I mentioned, contact position, and also how many hairs and the speed, of course. So that's what I have in mind right now, to be presented as basic to cover most of the levels for violin playing, which is, I consider, more into the advanced playing, but you could use this into a more simplistic way of practicing. I mean, to practice something more simple, which is intonation. And this is a huge issue, I think, across all ages of violin playing. People think of intonation as a mystical thing, that you get it by talent or you get it by years of practicing and hours of practicing. And it is, of course, practicing hours helps a lot, but I think there is an essential key that I can speak about today, and I wanted to share this with you. The thing is about intonation, it's not about only muscle memory. You know where your fingers will land, but still, as I mentioned before, the golden rule and key, in my opinion, is to hear first, really to hear first with rich sound, and to keep your mind, to give your mind the chance to hear clearly what you want to hear. And by that, you, of course, you want to train your ears. That's why we learn solfege and the basics, music theory stuff and harmony, to sharpen our ears and our minds to react and to listen. And once you start to listen to your mind and ears more, you need to let your body, in this case not your body, your fingers, to react accordingly of what you are hearing. So I want to play one tone difference between one note and the other. This is the most basic thing, which is, once I finish here and I'm playing the A, I already hear the next I hear now. No, I didn't like this. I hear it more. And once you hear a note or a tune that you don't like, stop and repeat again, but be sure that you hear it here first, right, and then let your finger to react in the right movement. And by that, you are linking your mind to hear something, and okay, now once I hear this, my fingers will react in this way. And you need to repeat everything slowly because of these connections. Our mind has a lot of connections and links that you need to link them together. By that, you make stuff easier for you and for performing later. You don't think, now I need to land the second finger 30.2 millimeters. No, it's not gonna work like this. You need to train your mind and ears to hear right first, and then let your fingers react accordingly right after that. And this brings me to another issue that I always see in beginners and most advanced players, and me also, I fall into this trap. Once I start practicing something slow, whatever, like I don't know what I have now in mind, prelude for example, I want to practice this slow. And then once you finish the whole thing, now you say, okay, now, no, this is not right. You need to not forget there is a middle gap between slow and the tempo that you're aiming for. And this gap is like, could be this big. And you miss all these different tricky parts where you can feel some difficulties. So once you finish practicing slowly like this, everything, whatever what you are playing, try to find a middle tempo. Later, until you reach the tempo that you want to reach. I think this is also very essential thing to keep in mind. Not only practice slowly in a boring way that your mind is shut. We practice slowly to give our mind the chance to connect the reactions and the networks within our mind to react of what we want to hear, then let our hands and arms and bodies react. If you give them the chance to react in the medium speed, mind will perform better in the normal speed. Lastly, I wanted to discuss the importance of discipline in violin playing. Of course, we always heard this from teachers. You need to practice every day 6-7 hours, and all of these strict rules. I always recommend my students to practice at least half an hour, if this is what I'm talking with beginners, but advanced musicians, of course, more than that. But what I mean is, you try to not to practice today and leave the violin for 4 weeks and then go back, or 4 days even and go back. If you skip one day, this is fine, this could happen. I skipped some days, of course, especially in the Corona time. The key is in being consistent every day to come back and remind your muscles and your ears and your mind how this is done. The discipline thing is important, like daily or every 2 days. If you skip a day, it's fine, but better not. Like me personally, I literally didn't skip a day until I finished my master's studies. I was really lucky to have my parents, my dad and my mom, being musicians and being violin teachers. They always kept this into my system to go back and play violin in a day, maybe 15 minutes even, if you have something very important that you want to go out and enjoy. To continue of what you started and not stop and leave a gap, which I think is a bit weird for my taste. I don't know what people are thinking, but in my opinion, in the summer breaks, you need to practice violin. You need to have it in your hand. Once you finish your summer breaks and then come after 2 months and then, hey, how was it? Like, of course you still remember, it's still like a language that you will never forget, but you don't make yourself fall into this trap by going back at least 3 days a week to the violin and work again and see how everything went together. And by that I finish my time for the video, and I think I also hope that I covered some essential and basic stuff. The basics are always the pillars where we build every advanced skill. If you don't have the pillars in order, I don't think it's gonna work for the long term, or you miss a higher levels to improve towards once, in case you have these basic pillars not in order and not 100% in check. I thank you very much, and again I wish you all the best and good luck into the competition, and maybe next year I will have some student performing something, hopefully. I hope the situation with COVID will be better and we will have some more time to work with them. Thank you very much for the invitation and good luck. Bye bye.